Sì, e ma sì fai un fai. No. Ah,
No, ma c'è.
sembra poco. E cioè,
Anyways, this is very unusual, so let's
ecco, open no, è ma so just in case they are rich. So
this one, slideshow. Slideshow from beginning. Now, so before you do that from beginning, I will see you. Yes, no, who's this person?
All right, good morning.
it's not
My
time
name
yet.
is hold on.
Yes, it's not time yet. Isn't my thing? We'll start some talk.
So now you can.
Who's chair? Are you, Mr. Lally? Yes. Well, I'm the chair. Okay, so I think I'll just, you are functioning as chair. So each person has 12 minutes to speak. Can start. Presenter should sit there. Presenter should sit there.
Presenters, please, all presenters.
Yes.
So, good morning, everybody. I want to welcome us to this panel on gendering labor, women, and the workplace. We have 5 presenters. Presently, we have 3 physically present. I don't know if we have other presenters online. So let's start with an introduction of the presenters. We have,
online.
okay, Chidebere Victor Abi. All right, thank you very much. So let's start with,
I'm online here.
okay, good. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Thank you. Okay, so we are starting now with introduction of presenters here physically present. Let's start from my right-hand side.
Good morning. Professor Belinda Archibong. I'm a professor in economics, associate professor in economics at Johns Hopkins at the Policy School in DC. So I'm an economist, as I just said. So I'm looking forward to comments, questions, suggestions about this work. This is a new paper, work in progress, but very nice to meet all of you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah, I'm Akinwale Feintola Boston. I'm working at Olabisi Onabanjo University. I'm into gender studies. I'm a peer historian, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, my name is Adebodo Olalekan Henry, a research student from Madobele University area. So yes, historian to the core. So this is a work in progress. A work in progress. So, and I want to believe this panel, open audible. Volume, okay. All right, I need to, okay, sorry. So I believe this work is a work in progress, and I believe this panel and this audience would help the work to put it in the right direction. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Victor, are you there, sir?
I'm
Please,
here.
can you introduce
I'm
yourself?
here. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
All right, my name is Chidebere Victor Adim. I'm a lecturer at the University of Africa in Bayelsa State, Nigeria. I'm happy to be here to present part of my paper, which was part of a fellowship paper while I was a fellow at the African Studies Center, Leiden, in the Netherlands.
Okay, thank you very much.
No.
I want to welcome us all to this presentation. I'm the chair for this panel, and my name is Dr. Charles Omotayo. So I want us to start with Victor. Victor, you have 10 minutes for your presentation. You can start now.
Okay. Can I share my slides?
Yes, you can. Yes, you
Is it
can.
possible to share my slides?
Yes,
Have been enabled. Okay. Like I rightly said, my name is Dr. Chidebere Victor Adim, a lecturer with the University of Africa in Bayelsa State. And my topic is Business is Not for the Disabled, exploring drivers and barriers to entrepreneurship for women with disabilities. Was a part of a study I did while a fellow in the African Studies Center, Leiden, January to March 2025. Hope I'm still audible.
Very well.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I wanted to move my screen. I'm not able to move that screen. Okay. How does it work?
Click on from the beginning. Or click at
In the beginning.
Isn't it? Yes, above. The title bar. After the title bar. After the title bar. Okay. No. No. I mean your slide,
Thank you. Please, can I share with your phone? It's not fully. I don't know what the problem is. Your phone.
Yeah. Okay, can you?
Through
Can you move it now?
Bluetooth. No, it's not.
Okay.
Okay.
Then I need my phone.
Okay, that's my outline. And then, why should anyone bother about this study? One, simply because this study is situated in 3 of the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. This study is partly situated in goal number 5, which speaks about gender equality. Also, this study is also entrenched in goal number 8, which talks about decent workplaces, which has to do with promoting inclusive and sustainable economic growth, especially for marginalized populations, in this case, women. And it also is situated in goal number 10, which talks about reduce inequalities. Looking at the disability statistics, around the world, people with disabilities, we have about 1.3 billion people with disabilities, which indicates 16% of global population living with disability. In Nigeria, we have about 35.5 million people with disabilities, indicative of 15.1% of the Nigerian population living with disabilities. And within this demography, we have about 50% of this estimated 35.5 million of persons with disabilities being women and girls with disability. This calls for serious research attention to such a demography that is well accentuated in statistics. By way of introduction, entrepreneurship is often seen as a pathway to economic independence and empowerment. Yet, for many women with disabilities, this journey is riddled with unique obstacles. In fact, for women with disabilities, the pathway of entrepreneurship is not a linear pathway. It is riddled with a lot of obstacles. If entrepreneurship is the backbone of the economy, why are so many doors still closed to women with disabilities? That's a question that's going through the mind of this study. Is business truly inclusive, or is it still a closed door for women with disabilities? Despite living in an age that champions inclusivity and equal opportunity, women with disabilities still face significant barriers when entering the entrepreneurial landscape. However, many women with disabilities continue to break stereotypes, leveraging resilience, creativity, and technology to carve out successful businesses. From societal biases and limited access to funding, the inadequate support systems, these challenges often deter them from pursuing the entrepreneurial adventures. What's the missing link? Despite global focus on marginalized groups' economic empowerment that is on the increase, gender disability intersection with entrepreneurship remains underexplored. Studies on disability and economic exclusion often analyze disability or gender separately. Compounded barriers faced by women with this 2004 and other scholars. Existing research focused on the general struggles of women with disabilities. However, few studies explore entrepreneurial challenges and opportunities for this group. Research on disability and entrepreneurship remains quite limited, and there is also scarcity of empirical data of how women with disability navigate systemic exclusion in the entrepreneurial landscape. And to this end, the study seeks to explore the drivers and barriers to entrepreneurship for women with disabilities in Nigeria, examining the societal, the systemic, and economic factors that influence the entrepreneurial experiences. And
You
as
have
its
2 minutes
objective,
more, Victor. Can you hear me?
okay, all right. With regards to theoretical framing, this study is anchored in the intersectionality theory, which argues that women with disabilities face multiple discrimination from both gender and disability biases. They are compounded. They are facing a double jeopardy, one being that they are women, and the second one being that they are having one form of disability or the other. And it's also entrenched in the social model of disability, which argues that disability is caused by societal barriers and not the impairment itself. The problem lies in society's negative attitude and lack of inclusivity towards persons with disability. And a lot of systemic barriers are confronted in this, women confront, have to do with environmental barriers, attitudinal barriers, and organizational barriers. Because of time, I will run fastly to the methods. This study adopted a qualitative methodology and an interpretive approach.
Kindly round up,
adopted.
please.
Okay.
Kindly round
Is
up.
my
Thank
10
you.
minutes up?
2 minutes. It's a 2.
Okay, I still have 2 more minutes. Okay. Okay. Data was collected from the Southwest, where we have disability laws domesticated, in which case we use Lagos and Ondo states, and the South, where disability laws have not been domesticated, in which case we use Bayelsa State. And ethical clearance was sought and obtained from the University of Port Harcourt Ethics Research Committee. Focus group, I conducted 3 focus group discussions with 33 women entrepreneurs living with disability in 3 focus groups, and data was collected using the recorder, and thematic analysis was used to analyze the data. You can see the various clusters of the participants of the study. And the key findings indicate that the drivers to entrepreneurship for women with disabilities are: 1, the desire for independence and financial self-sufficiency. There's also passion and interest. Family and community support also was a key finding. We also saw necessity and survival, and also self-respect and social perception. With regards to barriers to entrepreneurship for women with disabilities, findings indicate discrimination and stigma as part of the barriers, exclusion from formal financial institutions, mobility and accessibility issues, communication problems, and social exclusion and biases.
You can round up now, please. In conclusion.
Conclusion, this study underscores the vital role of entrepreneurship in empowering women with disabilities in Nigeria, offering a means to achieve financial independence and self-reliance. Despite their resilience and innovation, systemic barriers such as financial exclusion, mobility challenges, and societal stigma continue to restrict their full participation in business. These challenges not only limit individual opportunities, but also hinder broader socioeconomic growth by marginalizing a capable and entrepreneurial segment of society. Addressing these barriers is essential for fostering a more inclusive economy where all individuals, regardless of disability, can contribute meaningfully and thrive. Well, the policy recommendations are there. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Victor. We appreciate your presentation. That is Victor Chidiebere, who just presented on business is not for the disabled, exploring drivers and barriers to entrepreneurship for women with disability. So we now proceed to Dr. Olalekan Henry for your presentation.
All right, thank you. All right, my name is Olalekan Henry. I'm working on the role of Egba women in the development of textile industry in Abeokuta from 1850 to 1960. I'll do it anyway, so that they can plug it everyone. The reason for this is not far-fetched. Being an indigene, I've seen what's at happened when you go through history, realize that, well, like the former presenter did mention, women are marginalized. However, I've been thrown out several works on gender history and the likes. I decided to come back home, the days, the Lishabi and their warriors and all. Realize that the female then, particularly when the Europeans came in and during the colonial era, we realized that what happened, the female put redundant, so to say. But then we realized that these women, this particular woman I'm interested at, actually put not only the Egba and the Abeokuta now in the world map. They did that because of their resilience. They did that because of their passion. They did that because of their skills. Then we'll see. If you've seen this movie, Lishabi, you would have idea. So there's no need for me to run through the background of Egba liberating themselves from the Oyo Kingdom, Oyo Empire, and the likes. Then, what happened between 1830 to this period I'm referring to? From 1830, that Egba liberated themselves from Oyo Empire, so many things had happened. The Europeans had left, they bombarded Lagos, they needed to move interland. Moving interland, at this time, they needed to what? Come and settle in Egba. Settling in Egba, the likes of Harry Stansted and the likes and all. But now, look at the women were not in this discourse. No, meanwhile, the women have been working and have been churning out their work. But then, hence the reason why this work is coming out to say, okay, no, the women should also be given a considerable kudos to say, no, these people are they're skillful. Yet, then look at the introduction. Sorry, the previous slide. Sorry, previous slide. Sorry. Now look at, I said, the textile industry in Abeokuta dates back to the pre-colonial era, with Egba women being renowned for their expertise in traditional textile productions. Then the first bullet there saying the pre-colonial era, the Egba women produced traditional textile for local consumption. Initially, that was how they started. They started with, okay, the men are gone to war. What are they to do there to nurse their babies? But what should they do? How can they help the home front? Hence, the moment they discovered indigo, the use of indigo, the use of all those things that they use for the adire, they decide to start fabricating these things and they start producing. The moment they start producing, it was like a whitefire. It went round to the extent that even the colonialists, when they came in, they buy these things and take it to UK, and they start looking at this textile it's productive. This textile is, and they start selling it in, and it became a huge market at the time. So from 1850, you see that the textile industry evolved with the introduction of new techniques and materials, because now the women is now becoming a voice. The women are now coming, the likes of Fumilayo Kuti. now coming out and it was not propelling that these women, these boys, and this they should be known. And that's how the next slide. Thank you. The next slide, because of my time. Yeah. So the EGBA contribution, the EGBA women's contribution in textile industry. I said the spinning and the dyeing of cotton, the weaving and the embroidering, the designing and the creating of traditional textiles. If you look at the sample I made, look at to fabricate this textile, this you realize that it's a lot of artistic work was put in place. And these are women that initially was considered they were not being productive. These were women that felt these ones are not bringing anything to the table. But look at it, these women can, if a woman at that time can do something of this nature or this magnitude, then they needed to be recognized. Next slide. Now we look at the economic impact of EGBA women in the textile industry. The textile industry contributed significantly to the local economy because at this time, so many grants was coming into the industry by the Europeans because they realized that these women are doing good work. And front and back in my research, I realized that there was this at a point, there was this. Sorry, I hope I'm audible, please.
Yes.
Okay. So at the time there was this condemnation that came that the indigo they were using is not becoming original. They needed to, so hence this one, some of them needed to move from EGBA to Interland, down to Oshogbo, to Ede, to State, and by the time they discover there are indigos in the plants and extract and do all that, and they produce, they move it back to EGBA, and the market is there. And that's why today, recently, I think last month, for those that are conversant with the news, realize that there's this back and forth between Osun, the Osun governor and all. You remember? But then the truth is, work like this is telling us that no, the root is still in EGBA, but just it is the same EGBA women that moved there. So on getting there, they met cousins, nephews, and all that, and they teach them the trade, and they come back and they are bringing. So, but that is not the discussion for today. We are looking at how this textile industry brought EGBA and Abeokuta, to be precise, into the limelight. So we look at the employment opportunity for women. Now women are now employable. Income generation for families. Women can now produce, can now bring something out to the table. Unlike before that, they were considered as just rearing babies and taking care of the families. Now they can now support their husbands if they've gone out for what's it called, their farming work. Farming work it's seasonal, right? There's a period of time that they will just be looking. So it's that time the women will now come in and sit together. So we see it's income generation for the families and economic growth. That's now makes there's an inflow. In all families, there's no women now that even in those days when they have 3, 4, 5 wives, all their wives were into this business. So we can go on the next slide, please. Then we look at the cultural significance of EGBA women's textile. No doubt it's a norm that today, like yesterday, when we came around, we realized that even the LSA volunteers, they wore adire, right? You see how unique it is. And anyone you see on adire, like a beautiful sister now wearing adire, you see it's there. So when we talk about the cultural significance, we can't sweep it under the carpet. It is there. So the textile industry play a vital role in preserving EGBA cultural heritage, which includes the traditional designs and patterns. You can see that when you go to their market, you see different designs and patterns, their cultural values and the symbolisms that is also portrayed. The portrait that shows that these people are deep-rooted into their culture. When you see these people and ask them, what's the pattern within this template, and they tell you that this actually refers to this and this actually refers to, you know that it's culturally embedded. So then the community identity and the pride that, yeah, this thing is coming, and that's why I won't blame the governor from Osun State. That is saying, thank you, all right, I will wrap up well. So that is saying, no, this thing is coming, it actually started from us, that the EGBA people stole it, right? We are not to join what we done. That's not the essence of this presentation. So next slide goes on my time. Now, yes, were there any challenges? Were there any challenges? Were there any limitations faced by the EGBA? Obviously, yes. Despite their significant contributions, the government faced various challenges, including limited access to education and training. Retrieve restrict social and cultural norms, the competitions from even the Western world. The competition was there because
Go on, go on.
okay. Next slide, please. Next, I will look at the legacy. The legacies and the impact of Egba women textile industry. The textile industry has left a lasting legacy in Abeokuta, with Egba women continuing to play a vital role in preserving and promoting the traditional textile productions. That's why today, in all the government parastatals in Ogun State, I mean, a day is devoted for the wares of Adire. And that shows that this is a massive move that the women had been putting up. So then lastly, because my conclusion, I say the role of Egba women in the development of textile industry in Abeokuta from the period of constitution, that's in 1850 to the time Nigeria gained independence, is a testament to their genuinity, to their creativity, and to their resilience, as it could be seen in the lives of the Egba women and in the time of discussion. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you very much. That was a very good presentation from Dr. Olalekan Henry, who has just presented on the role of Egba women in the development of textile industry in Abeokuta. We now proceed to Professor Belinda, who is going to be presenting on film culture, social norms, and gender gaps in online labor markets. You have, yes.
So can I control the thing by myself? That's the slides, right? What's the forward button? This is the, can people hear me on the Zoom?
Yes.
Good? Okay, I'm gonna stand because I need to control the thing myself. So thank you again to the organizers. Thank you to the panel attendees and to the attendees here as well. This, I'm an economist, as I mentioned before, so this work is going to be, it's a new paper, I should say. So I'm going to skip over the equations, because I know we have a mixed crowd here, and just give you the highlights of the paper. And then when we get to the Q&A, please, questions, comments, suggestions are very much welcome and appreciated. So this is work that is joined with my great co-authors who are all up here. Okay, so I don't think I need to motivate why we are studying this topic on gender inequality in employment for this audience. But just briefly, there's significant gender inequality in employment all over the world. It is true in the OECD countries, the rich world. It is true in middle income, low income, etc. And when you go higher up in companies, you see that they are less women represented. So this figure is from 2020, I believe. And this is from OECD countries, and you can see that they're going up in the firms. So this is like by the time you get to the percentage of firms that have majority female ownership, it's at 14%. For women in senior roles, it's at 6%. And again, this is like the rich world context. So we kind of started out this project by saying, okay, how do we, the thing that you think, I hope everybody in this room agrees, that you want to have your population to contribute to economic development, right? And you want to have your population women to also then be earning enough money that they are contributing not just households, but to larger economic development. How do you solve this issue, right? Because you want women especially to be going up in the firms, because the higher up you get to the firms, the more money you earn. right? More senior, you get more money, right? So we said, okay, in a context where everybody has a smartphone or a cell phone, right? Everybody needs to have a cell phone, I'm sure, right? Your cell phone, you can access online anywhere, right? Can we use this type of phone access and also access through what we're calling in this paper online labor markets? But think of the online job portals. So places like LinkedIn, Indeed, we're going to be working with Jobberman in this context. But these kind of online platforms that can help applicants seek out jobs, right? And can help firms and employers find qualified applicants in a less costly way, right? What does that mean? In a way that you don't have to be going to the street and say, oh, who knows who knows who. Everybody can just go on the platform, apply to as many jobs as you want, the employer sell your application, and then you can get it from private, right? So in that context, can we abuse and address the gender gap in employment, especially when it gets to gender gap at the senior level workers? Can we get more women in senior roles? And can we get more women higher generally? More women applying, right? Because it's two sides, as we say in economics, of the market. So you people have to apply, and then you need employers to actually hire and apply. Okay. So this is where we start out with this project. And so when we say, when I say online labor markets, just think of Jobberman, LinkedIn, this one will be just job portals, right? So in economics, we often say, okay, as I said, this is a problem with two sides of the market. So on the one hand, maybe more women are not applying to senior roles for a number of reasons. But also on the other hand, on the employer side, maybe employers are also not hiring for the 5 women that we see for a number of reasons. So in this paper, we're going to focus on the employer side and think about what can be the barriers to hiring more qualified women to senior roles from the employer side, right? Okay, so we're going to do this. You can tell this was for non-Nigerian audience, but Nigeria, the big country, Africa's 7th largest labor markets, it's important to study. I believe there was a New York Times article that came out that said by 2100, Africa will be 40% of the world's labor markets, right? And Nigeria will be number one. That's so we are coming up. So the idea again is to think about really trying to understand then what are the barriers to youth employment and women's employment in this growing labor markets. Okay, so what are we going to do? I know I have like 5 minutes. We are going to use purely driven by data. So we're going to use data from the largest online hiring portal in Nigeria, which is Jobberman. And we're going to use their data from 2016 to 2018. So as a first stage, study the gender gap in hiring, right? In employment, in hiring in particular in Nigeria. So what is this data? I'll show you some more information if we have time. But very, very large, very, very rich data set. So think about all the people that go on Jobberman's platform. Of course, the information is privatized, anonymized, but we have over 194,000 people that are applying over those 3 years of data, right? So 1.3 million applications. When we see matches in applications that we are really going to study and see the patterns of hiring over this time. Right? And so using that data, we are then able to say, our employers actually hiring less women in Nigeria, right? Actually less women to senior roles, using these online portals, using these online platforms. And as she mentioned, for economics, the reason why the online thing is also important is that we often say, okay, we want to be agnostic about why people are doing what they do. So we say for one thing, potentially the reason why employers are not hiring more qualified women that they just don't know they're qualified, right? So in economics, we call this information estimate. I don't think it's okay, we get to that. We're trying to be like kind and nice to people, right? Maybe they just don't know. And so in an area where you have an online setting, it's very, very easy to say, oh, you know what? You didn't know that this woman was qualified, but I can give you that information. I can show you her LinkedIn. I can show you her qualifications. You can access this. You don't even have to go to her campus. You can just go on to the language check, people. It's very, very easy to find out this information. So in theory, in economics, you should see less gender bias in hiring within this online setting, which is why we thought the online setting is very important. No worries. So let me give you the kind of breakdown of what we do. So we're going to study that. I'm going to show you some patterns in the data. And then we're going to, in the second step, do an experiment. So what we call an experiment in economics. Just a study, where we are basically saying, okay, to the extent that we are going to see gender bias in hiring, by providing more information to hiring managers, can we actually change their behavior so they hire more qualified people? That's what we're trying to do. Okay. Okay, so two pictures. I think people in the room, if you are familiar with Joverman, people familiar with Joverman, yeah, familiar with Joverman, right? Okay, if you're familiar with Joverman, I think they first came to recruit from Unilag actually. So when they said they'll come, so everybody on the platform, the vast majority of people are super educated. 80% of them have bachelor's degrees, 90% of them have completed tertiary education. They are older than the average Nigerian. They are 30 years of age on average. And they also tend to be less women represented on the platform generally. I think about 30% of the people on the platform, Africans, are women. So just to give you an idea of what that looks like. Okay. So let me just tell you the results because I know I only have 2 minutes. 2 minutes. What do we find? Scroll down. I'm just going to show you everything at once. Okay, so what do we find? So we find, not surprisingly, that there is gender, it seems that there is gender bias in hiring in the Nigerian market, even in this online setting. But it occurs in a very interesting way. So what we actually found was that employers, it's not that they're not likely to hire women on average, especially to senior roles. So when I say senior role, think of it just like experienced non-manager and higher, right? That's what the senior role is in this context. But they're not less likely to hire women. On average, you don't actually see an effect. So on average, it looks like there's no gender bias against women in Nigeria. However, what we see is that when you look by ethnicity, so this is the, when you say intersectionality, this is the cross of ethnicity and gender that is happening here. So what will happen is that hiring managers will not hire women from their own ethnic group. They are more likely to hire co-ethnic men, so men that share the same ethnic group, and less likely to hire co-ethnic women. They don't really care about those outside women, non-co-ethnic women. But where the gender bias comes in is within ethnic group. And especially since most of the jobs were on the government platform, I say percent of jobs are in Lagos. This is like really very driven by Yoruba people, honestly, in the sample. And if we have time, we can ask questions for this. What we think is happening is that there's a kind of enforcement of patriarchal norms, right? And we have evidence of this too. And we also did interviews with high managers. So they will say, well, in our culture, women, blah, 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 blah. Okay, interesting. So we think that, many of the high managers, they think that, not that they don't like women from their own group, but what they'll say is that they think that the woman comes in, it might lower productivity of the firm because maybe, she's upsetting the hierarchy, the gender hierarchy within the group, especially given that the clients are then, because this is Lagos, mostly Yoruba. So then they're like, okay, that's going to affect our customer interactions, which will then lower productivity. So we think that's what's happening here. And so we find that, and we have a lot of evidence again from interviews, from data. But if people have other ideas of why this is happening, please let us know. And then to conclude, because I know I'm at the end of time, when we then say, okay, let's provide information to hiring managers, what do we tell them? We tell them, hey, you know that hiring managers on average are less likely to hire qualified women over qualified men for senior roles and police positions. However, we know that research shows that if you hire more qualified women and improve the gender diversity in your firm, you can actually improve your firm productivity, right, and firm performance. So we tell them that, and so we see that it seems to like change the behavior of hiring managers slightly, right? So then they're like, okay, maybe I'll hire more qualified women, from both my co-ethnic group and also from non-co-ethnic groups, but not by a lot. And we don't know if the effect is going to persist over time. So this is something to think about there. And I will mention one more thing. The effect also seems to be driven by female hiring managers are the ones responding to the condition. But male hiring managers don't seem to change their behavior. In fact, some of them are less likely to hire women after we tell them that, hey, this is what's going on. So anyway, I'm just going to stop there. I have a lot of pictures, but you don't need to. That's the whole paper. If we have time, we can look at the pictures. But the paper is also on my website, online. So please feel free, look at up. If you have time, send comments, send to my email. And questions, comments, as I mentioned before, are very much welcome and appreciated. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Professor Belinda, for that beautiful presentation. We now proceed to Dr. Akinwale, and she's going to be presenting on women in commercial transportation sector in Ibadan, 2000 to 2024.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, just like we know, transport sector is very vital to the socio-economic development of any society because it provides essential services, ease of people's movement of goods and services, as well as it facilitates trade. and it equally, serve as a primary means of connecting the rural and the urban areas, and so on and so forth. But historically, it has been male dominated. And when we are talking about being dominated by the male, we are just talking about, okay, in terms of ownership, leadership, management, and what have you. But in the recent time, it's like the narrative is gradually changing, seeing female joining the team. You see the influx of women now riding Okada, keke napep, as a means of generating income for the family and all of that. Though the paper is working, is still in progress. And our research methodology, the study employs qualitative research method. We made use of primary data. Okay. We made use of primary data, that is qualitative or in-depth interview with about 25 people, both male and female, drivers as well as passengers, in order for us to get to the root of our study. While secondary sources include books, articles in journals, and media publications, as well as other relevant materials, while data were content analyzed. Now our results, just like I said, is a paper still in progress. We discovered that it has generated a kind of, opening a new window, for employment creation or job opportunity, because most of our respondents, they told us that it wasn't easy for them at the beginning, seeing themselves as female, riding on bike or riding keke napep. In fact, they even told us that when they had, they had the idea telling their husband that this is what I want to do. Oh, no, just wait. Do you want people to be making jest of us and all of that? Because it's something that is alien to our system. But in all of this, it has been able to generate employment opportunities. Then it's also a means of continuous increase in the labor force. Most of them told us that if they see any woman that is jobless, waking up in the morning, still tying wrapper around, moving about, Emma, come, can't you just do this? This is what I do for a living. I cannot do it. But they were able to convince some of them, and they have been able to train them. This is how to do this thing. And it has been a kind of source of employment to this kind of, sets of people. Then they have been able to support their families. The husband these days, now we know what Nigeria is saying. We must not deceive ourselves, except we want to kill our husband. Because the pressure, the financial pressure is so high everywhere, cost of living and all of that. So, but because they have been able to okay, get into this kind of setting, they have been able to come home at the end of the day. This is my own portion of, in fact, there was a particular woman that told us that when she was sharing her experience, she said she was having this kind of pharmacy. She was running the business. It got to a point that she was now borrowing money, from Lapo. And unfortunately, she could not meet up. So when she was explaining, her experience, highly pathetic. In fact, they left Ekiti State for Ibadan, to be precise, during the night, because they were still owing a lot of people, back then in Ekiti. So the family relocated to Ibadan at night. That's another experience. So, but now, she said she has been able to even have her own keke. Because when the new look got to Ibadan, and she gave the husband, my husband, let me just do this thing. And the husband was like, you cannot do it. But eventually the husband just looked away because there was no means of sustaining the home because they were new in that environment. And she just went to the tarmac, approaching the leader of the tarmac that, please, can you just link me up with someone that will lease, keke to me, train me. I want to do this thing. And she took the both step and she had the favor, let me put it that way now. And eventually, I think when we were speaking with her around February, she said, this is my keke nape because the keke is new. And so this is, the way she was even with pride because she was so happy about it. And she even told us that she's planning to, get another one higher purchase in order to give to other people that will be giving her return at the end of the day. Then one of the other significance is economic growth. It continues to like boost our economy one way or the other, not only left to the society alone, but to the family, to the immediate community and all of that. So on that note, this study stresses that there's need for the society to support there's need for the society to support women. Well, we must not just, castigate them or just say, why are you doing this? Just continue. We should just continue to help them, support them morally in whatever form we know. Then there is also need to promote economic development as well as the necessity to target, some interventions that can be of help to them, probably organizing workshops, seminars, train, retrain, whichever way the government can just come in helping them in terms of capacity building and all of that. But in all that we have said, we should not forget the place of challenges because they too are facing a lot of challenges. For instance, it's not always very easy to balance professional responsibilities with that of, domestic responsibilities. It is not always very easy. Then at times they face a lot of harassment, probably sexual harassment, physical, emotional harassment, and all of that. Because the way a man will stand, even in the presence of all those touts, a woman may be jettisoned or fidget and all of that. So it is not always very easy. Then they also complained of financial, resources in terms of, okay, probably you want to have your own keke now. Most of these financial institutions, they are not ready to give out loans to women because they believe that they can run away, or maybe the manager, when, in the course of processing the loan, they may end up turning it into a blackmail. The women will end, sexual harassment and all of that. So please, madam, you don't have enough collateral and all of that. So they are facing such. Then it is also believed that transportation is energy sapping. So for a woman to move out of her home in the morning and come back, no. These are one of the challenges. And then some families, they don't support, okay? Some families don't support their women now, to go into such a profession and all of that. Then let me just move to the concluding part. The study concludes that women's role in the commercial transportation sector in Ibadan remains significant for socio-economic development of any society. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Akinwale, for that beautiful presentation. I don't know if we have Tolu Lope online. Do we have any?
Yeah.
Tolu Lope, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so we have Tolu Lope
I can hear
Obele.
you.
Yes, good, from Nigerian Army University, and she's going to be presenting on gender and Dadawa waste to cooking fuel in Biu local government of Borno State. You have 10 minutes and your time starts now.
Okay. Good morning to the Lagos Studies Association Conference 2025. And good morning to the panels, the panel members. I am Obele Tolulope, fellow from the Department of Nigerian University. I'll be discussing on a working paper the working paper, so comments and the questions are 8 or 10. Sorry, I came in late. Yeah. Dada is a fermented paste from local beans, locust beans rather. And this local beans plant is enormously found in the local government. The local government being the area of this proposed study is located in Borno State. Hello, am I audible, please?
No, can you
Am
speak
I
a
audible,
little bit?
please?
You are now.
Okay, thank you. So, like I said earlier on, I said this is a working paper, gender and Dada ways to cooking fuel in the local government area of Borno State. The local government area is in Borno State, northeast Nigeria. And the study purposely shows the local government area because local beans is enormously available in the local government and is one of the productive activity which the female gender engages in the local government. As a matter of fact, the other ways are being discarded by these women after processing the locust beans, the fermented locust beans. And this dada is a condiment that is used by homes, being added to food, stew by home and restaurants. I have a slide. I don't know if I'm permitted to share. Hello, am I audible, please?
Yes. You can share your
Hello?
slide. You can go ahead, please.
Okay. So I'm trying to share this slide. Something to show.
Can you just continue speaking if you... Hello, are you there?
Please. So the study says that the plan of Dada is an economic activity being carried out by women. And as a means of achieving sustainable development goal 7. The goal 7, which articulates that energy for all. So imperatively, this study
Are you there? I think we have lost her.
yes.
You have 3 minutes more, please.
She's turned off her camera.
Kindly turn off your camera, probably.
The video table.
Hello, Tolu. Sorry, your time is up. Can you round up?
She's not saying anything.
Not saying anything. All right, I think we have to proceed because of our time. Tolu, can you hear me?
I guess she has gone. I guess she has gone. She's, she's, she's talking, but probably she's just gonna.
Hello, Tolu, can you hear us? Sorry, we have to proceed. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for your time and your attention. It is now time for questions. We want to call for questions, observations, and suggestions. So I want to, if you have any question, please kindly signify.
For each panel, each presenter.
For all, or for each person.
For each person.
Questions, please. One, just one. Okay, then me too. I want to start. I have a question for each of the presenters on the panel. Henry, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, dear. Okay, Victor. Victor, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we are now in questions. So my first question goes to Olalekan Henry. Now, you interchangeably use the Egba and Abeokuta.
Okay.
You understand? You know, is Egba a place or a people?
Okay.
You know, like 2-3 times you talked about Egba and Abeokuta. I think there is need for you to put that in proper perspective. That is number one. Then number two, the question is, what role has modernity played in the textile production of Egba women? Do we have modern factories, or they are still operating through the local traditional indigenous textile method? That is my questions for you. And number three question also for you is what are the dynamics that influenced the creativity in the textile? You understand? What are the dynamics, or what influences the creativity? That's for you. Professor Linda, I have one question also for you. And your paper focuses on the online labor markets. I also want to ask, or probably call your attention to the fact that, are you aware of the, let me use the word, illegitimate online markets? You understand? You know, Jobberman is a legitimate online market. Are you aware that there are some online platforms that recruit girls for prostitution? You understand? There are some online platforms that recruit girls for prostitution, yes, human traffickers. You understand? Your work focuses on, probably let's call it, the legitimate online market. You understand? I think it will add more merit or more insight into your research if you try to look at it. And you'll be so shocked to realize that most people are even more familiar with the illegitimate online market than the legitimate online market. An average Nigerian youth, for example, at least if you put into perspective the spread of cyber crime and the likes, you see that people are more familiar. If you walk around Unilag and ask them, you see that most numbers will tell you they're familiar with all these illegitimate sites, and most students, while on campus, get funds and support from this side. You understand? So I don't know if there is a way you can, synchronize and do a comparative analysis on that. So that's my question for you. Dr. Akinwale, my question is that, number one, why Ibadan?
Yeah.
Yes, why Ibadan? Because sometimes this concept that you are looking at has been in Lagos for a very long time. You understand? Ibadan is just coming up. You understand? So why Ibadan? That's number one. Then number two, there's a particular culture, let me put it like that, that is common with road transport workers. And this has to do with their flair for alcohol, especially local alcohol, you understand? Gins, you know, when you go to the park early, Shepherd, when you go to the park as early as 5 a.m., 6 a.m. in the morning, you see these men take up these things to charge for the day.
The women that even selling.
You understand? So my question is, are the women also involved in this culture? You understand? Then number two, because of the nature of their job, sometimes these people need to dress in male attires. You understand? You also need to contextualize that. You know, you see an average woman, sometimes you may not even know she's a woman. I entered one in Ibadan. The way she was kitted with glove in her hands, head warmer, and the likes. It was when she spoke that I realized that she was a woman. Do you understand? And by assumption, I already felt that this is a man. You understand? So, what are these? I feel that your research should also look into these things. You get that? So, those are my questions. Thank you very much. Your question, ma'am.
Okay. So for the presenter on the country or the yes, I think you addressed that on the differentiating between the adult or the because the concept of education should come in. And I'm also going to ask again. So at some point, there's this very popular lady on is it Instagram. She's into category, and then there is some argument at some point that Chinese were really importing Adrian into Nigeria.
Yes.
And then in a way, that was, and it was a kind of inferior Adrian. And that was the kind of, giving them ages as regards which is the original, which is actually from Nigeria, which is from China. So, we study, trying to understudy that aspect or probably what government might actually or particularly do for those failures in terms of, adulteration of their Adrian. Therefore, the transport system.
Okay.
Yes, Ibadan is a very nice place to talk about transportation. We're going to talk about all the flights and NPRTW and all of that. So you actually asked the question I was going to have to, but then I was going to find out the possibilities in the future of NPRTW in Nigeria in the hands of women. I mean, does the study has studied the fact that women can actually have a place in the transportation system. And now I'm not even looking at the transportation system at the level of those who work at the garages, at the parks, but at that level, even at the level of decision making, I mean, we see women
Get
you. And then what's the government's contribution? Because then we have had like lots of there are a lot of cultural shifts. Things are changing. I mean, you naturally not find a woman working as a transporter, as a doctoress, or as a driver, transporter, and all that. But then I think it is what we should also consider. These days, you see women driving caterpillars, sites, and all of this. This is probably trying to consider what the government position would be as regards official proper employability of women in such a sector. That would be more.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Can you speak up a little bit?
Or can she come closer?
Yes, please come closer.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, you talked about the recruitment process. You gave the drama as an example. You talked about things that you suppliers. They will filter to so I want to answer in your research. And then women management decisions who are recruiters, lawyers of interest. They help bias what women have the data. It's a team intra and what are other challenges? That's that. My question to Dr. Tola about yeah, I know that in fact rampant elite on the issue of female drivers very and in
is the issue. And definitely, there's about labor relations. We have to talk about the relationship of the gender. Well, not only as the work levels, like somebody mentioned, as a managerial level. That issue, how many of them did you talk to? Outside, because we can't actually get let's say clarification, we can't get those of measure and what's happening.
Any other question, please? Okay, so thank you very much for your questions. Each of the presenter has 6 minutes to respond appropriately. So, Henry.
Okay. Though I have a question for, or probably a suggestion for Mrs. Tululokwe, the one on gender and Gadawa waste, but I guess she's not online, so I'll keep that. Yes, thank you for all these beautiful comments as regards this paper. Yes, Egba and Abeokuta. Probably I use it interchangeably, but Egba is the people, the indigenous people. Abeokuta is the name of the place. So it's a geographical location. But what we are not looking at is the people, is the place. Why the people is the Egba. I don't know if
you sing later, don't
yes, yes. So yeah, then that answers that. Then what role modality plays? Yes, and that's why we are looking at because it's an history research. I don't want to bring it down to contemporary trends. But however, the governor and vis-a-vis the Alake of Egba and the market women, traditional, yes, there's this work in progress. There's this agreement that they had stopped the Chinese from infiltrating because they've infiltrated. Like this, the lady that came the other time that was there was what she was wearing was the Chinese part of the Chinese product of
Chinese version, not in
Chinese version of that. Jonathan, so yeah, it looks cheaper, it looks shining, it looks this, but it's not, the quality is not there. When you say original dress, original address, you would love it. The longevity is there, you will enjoy it. So yes, the government is working on ensuring that okay, this importation is stopped. Then the women, and that's why there's this effort given to the government workers in Ogun State General, even in schools, allowed in schools, it is compulsory. They must put on the address just to promote and to make the market more viable for the women.
You have not answered the question. We have modern factories.
Yes. We now have in fact we have an international market for it. We have modern factories that is what that are using to produce this thing that is making initially if they will use in the olden days when they are doing this thing, for them to finish a piece, probably they may use hours. But now with this new modern equipment, at least they can churn out thousands of years within few hours. So yes, modern this instead.
Okay, thank you.
So it's an clarification. So we can state such.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. The first question is saying why Ibadan, right? Am I correct? Yes. Why we decided to pick Ibadan is because one, Ibadan is the largest city in southwestern Nigeria. You know, when you want to compare Ibadan and Lagos is a state, while Ibadan is a city. So we now decided to choose Ibadan because you have a lot of, diverse people from diverse culture and all of that in Ibadan.
Oh, we don't have it in Lagos.
No.
That's confusing.
No, it shouldn't be confusing.
It's confusing.
It shouldn't be confusing.
Lagos is a city.
Every other.
Lagos is a city.
It's not a state. It is Lagos State. From that perspective.
Has changed long ago because Lagos is a city
in southwestern Nigeria. That's the reality.
Yes, we agree.
So that's why we chose Ibadan. Am I right?
Yes.
Good. Then the second question is saying Can we see more women in leadership position? Actually, that is a challenge because most of these women, in this kind of sector, they were saying that their voices are being silenced because you have a large number of male, it's a male-dominated area. You are only having, influx of women, and it's a recent development. It's not something that has been like that, for many years. Do we understand that? So because of that, the women are gradually coming up. So in the place of leadership role, for now, in fact, they are even looking for what to eat.
Yes, I always say that as for the women, the motivation necessarily not to
It's not because of leadership, for survivor.
You have a question? Okay.
So for survivor, I hope that is clear. Okay. Then I say, okay, in terms of dressing, some of them said, I'm not a person that wears, trouser. I cannot look like a masculine because by the time I'm looking like a man now, I'm giving my family another impression about myself. So I still want to maintain my integrity, my personality, and all of that. So let me just be who I am. What I'm looking for is what to eat and not my appearance. Then the ratio, it has been taken care of. That's the other answer. I think I'm okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
So there were two questions. The first one on looking at the legitimate market. I think it was interesting. It's not the focus of our study right now. And I just want to highlight so people know, like, in terms of the jobs, right? So I visited at Unilab for about 3 months in 2018. As of the time I was here, they said there was no career center. Is there still Unilab Students Career Center? I guess no career center. No? Career center. Somewhere where if I'm a student, I'm graduating, I can go and I can say, okay, here is my major, here is my profile. Tell me which employers are going to be coming on campus that I can go and submit my application. It's not like So this was very surprising to me because if you go, like I schooled in the US, if you go to any school in the US at all, like you will find a center that is based at the university that is permanently there, where you are 2021. You know, how are you supposed to know how to navigate the labor markets? So this is very interesting. I'm going to think the thing about then maybe that can push you into the legitimate market. So one of the things that we're trying to do with this project is to say, hey, can we even use platforms like Jobberman? Because Jobberman they do these trainings, they come temporarily, as you said, but have a permanent relationship with Nigerian universities where they have a base on campus. So if I'm a Unilag student, I'm graduating, I know that, hey, there is this organization that has experience matching people to jobs. I can go there. They will organize job fairs on campus regularly, where they will bring the employers over. And instead of me to be trying to figure out myself, that is organized through my university. Because these jobs that you mentioned again, they're very lucrative. So as of 2014, when the Naira was still better, 65 Naira to $1, I checked. You know, the minimum end for the jobs that were on Jobberman, you could be earning between 200 and 400K Naira a month, right? And that was with like you're coming out of university with a degree, maybe like a couple of years of experience. So that's much higher than the salary of the average Nigerian, right? So these are very lucrative jobs. They are jobs that are aimed at students at Unilag and Covenant and Ibadan, etc., aimed at university graduates. And so they should not be then being pushed into the kind of illegitimate or legal market. I think if you can then make this a much more efficient process where you have somebody like Jobberman, a career center on campus that can match them in these online settings in the legal market. Because I don't think anybody wants to go into the legal market, but I've spent all these years of my degree in consulting or accounting or whatever. Like I want to be able to work ideally in my field, right? Exactly. It's not what I don't think that there's a preference for the legal market. I think anybody, in my opinion, the students in the room, that any students, please tell me different. But would want to be like, I studied accounting. I want to be able to go, because the jobs on Jobberman platform, most of the jobs are like consulting, ICT, banking, finance. These are high profile jobs. And when you talk to the employers, again, because we talked to employers for a number of years now, I was just on a plane with this guy, owns this firm in Nigeria. They're doing all of like, they do logistics, transport, etc. I was saying, look, my problem is I'm trying to find qualified people. We have jobs. Not that to say that there's no shortage of jobs in Nigeria. I think that's a big problem too. But at the very least, we can solve one. Pick your battles, right? So the problem of, can you just get the qualified students from Unilag, from Covenant, from this place, from the top universities in Nigeria, to those jobs? So that this guy on the plane I was talking to will not be like, I'm an employee in Nigeria, but I can't find people. right? We can solve, we hope, at least through somebody like a Jobberman, etc., we can solve that issue. And we can then solve the gender issue as well. Not solve, as being ambitious. We can reduce the negative impacts that women are facing in the labor market. Right? For again, I just want to, I know I've said it many times, but these are lucrative jobs. These are high-paying jobs, right? So if you can match these people, match women to these jobs, you are changing people's whole income household trajectory. So the second question I think was about the biases of female hiring managers. Thank you. Very good question. Yes. What was shocking to me, okay, maybe not shocked. Actually, maybe I shouldn't have been shocked, but I was kind of shocked, right? That because I'm thinking there's all these studies in economics saying if you get more women into a space, then they will get more women inside. They'll pull women after them. But that's not what we were finding in the data. So female hiring managers, they act the exact same way as male hiring managers when it comes to not hiring women or experience. So about 40% of the hiring managers are women. So they are less than the men, but they're still such a substantial number. But when we even talked to them, I was very shocked when we did the interviews with them. They were even more hard than they were like, women will get pregnant. So why? But you're a woman who is a hiring manager. But exactly. So it was very, very interesting that because they were acting, the things that they said they're looking for in a candidate, because employers will say they want soft skills is number one. Just also surprised, but they say soft skills is number one. Then it's like experience, education, qualifications, and all of that. But the women don't say anything different from the men. They act the exact same way. The difference, though, so when I mentioned when we're telling them information about, hey, did you know that if you hire more women, there's research showing that you can actually improve your firm's profits, right? Because that's a diversity of ideas. There are markets, like especially in the north in Nigeria, where there's gender segregation. Like a man might not be able to access, but a woman can, right? So that will actually expand your market as a firm and also give you more profit. The women, well, first of all, they are more likely to say they get that because we ask them, is it true or false? Are employers biased against women? The men will say, yes, we know that employers are doing that, right? The women will say, no, that's not true. So maybe they perceive themselves as a woman, I wouldn't do that, right? Maybe they think that. So when we tell them this information, they are the ones then that are more likely to change their behavior, right? The men don't, because they're like, I already knew this information. The women say, oh, I didn't know like it was like that. And they are more likely to then say, okay, let me consider the qualified female applicants more. So that's the positive side. Like the women do actually then respond and change their behavior when we tell them about the state of affairs. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank
Oh, there's many follow-ups. Yes, absolutely. I was in German office yesterday and talking to them about follow-up. So that's what we're doing. Behavioral change, the behavioral pattern. Exactly. And we're going to go and follow them over time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Dr. Bankole.
Thank you very much. Wonderful presentation so far. So I work within the streets and I work in motorbikes and bus stops. So I was quite fascinated about the conversation because I currently work with a female conductor.
Okay.
And I will also work with a female NERTW member who is, of course, in quotes, a hybrid, like she does. So, and I agree with you about when you said that when you mentioned that she said she has to wear trousers. In my mind, I'm like, okay, and these are the things that they have to do to perform an identity in order to acquire some level of respectability. Now, my question is the idea of silence. I'm curious, do you think this is just specific to a particular location, maybe in Ibadan? Because in my fieldwork so far, which is an ongoing 9 months,
Okay.
the females that I'm in contact with, in fact, I work within about 7 motor parks in Michigan.
Okay.
And in about 5, when you mention Yaimode, they know her. And they do not know her passively, they know her very actively.
Very active.
In fact, she's an officer.
Wow.
In the sense that when LASMA and police officers come to pick up buses, they tell her to go to their offices and she gets those buses back.
Yeah,
That's how powerful she is. And then the female conductor I'm working with, she's also very influential. So I'm quite curious. Is it a question of location?
I think
And I'm working in Lagos, which has the tendency to have that the reality of silences. So I'm just quite curious.
well, thank you very much. Ibadan, if you examine Ibadan, the people there, the indigenous very well, you will discover that they don't really like anything that is troublesome. Let me use that word in quotes
They're
now.
conservative.
Very conservative.
Is it the
No, no,
women
no, no,
or the
wait. You see, there is a way life brought them together. Just take anything that is being presented before you as act of God. In this kind of space, I shouldn't be talking like that, but in reality, that is how it is. For instance, someone will wake up in the morning and say, okay, my family, I was able to make this one yesterday. They move. The husband and the wife, they move. They leave their children either to go to school or all of that. They live the day as it comes. And it has a lot of implication too, wherever they are working. So for the women, just like I've mentioned earlier, it's what they want to eat. They're actually looking for, not to be struggling. They don't really like to struggle too much over anything. If you are going to compare the outsiders now, those people migrating from other places to Ibadan and the indigenous, you will realize that, the people that migrated in, they are the ones actually, very high, they are so gingered. But these people is like, let me just live the day as it stands. So I don't need, yes. And the culture is gradually, infiltrating even into the foreigners now, in quotes, in a way. In this context now, the women, they are not really interested in the leadership position. They just want something, the way an Ibadan woman will stand, someone that is a driver, maybe keke or kada, the way she will stand, you cannot compare her to the way a woman from Lagos will react. Because Lagos, naturally, okay, let me go, sorry, out of context now. When we were coming to Lagos, the driver dropped us at before Ojota. So we boarded a bus. And inside that bus, I just realized that we have not gotten to where we were going. And the conductor said, hey, Sokale, I said, what? What? My partner, she was just looking at the conductor. And meanwhile, she was about leaving, stepping out of the vehicle. I said, please wait. Where is our bag? Our bag, our bag. My body language just changed naturally because I just realized I'm in Lagos. Meanwhile, I wouldn't have done that
In Ibadan.
in Ibadan because I know our lives, they will give me my bag. Do you understand that now? So the environmental, influence, the factor is just there naturally. So the way a woman in Lagos will react, is not the same way, in quotes now, a woman from Ibadan will do.
All right, thank you.
Basically answered my question.
Thank you very much.
All of the human drivers are indigenous.
Yes, they are. No, they are not. They are not.
Okay, so the non-indigenous too have acculturated. And how many castes?
Well, okay. We were at Roundabout, Iwo Road, Bodija, and some other places like that. The major parts. Yes.
All of the women like that.
Well, let me use the word well, not all of them, but a large percentage, a reasonable percentage.
I'm asking this question.
Okay.
Because I don't want to believe everybody has the same income.
Of course.
When you work in such a male-dominated field that requires struggling to understand it. And so once I understand the cultural factor affecting these drivers, I want to believe that individual attitude, background. For those, have left wherever they are coming from, come to the definitely they have issues, they have to be different. Regardless of how minute or how small, it has to be different. That should be.
I want to ask.
She's yours. Yes, it's something we can't say about that.
Actually, I want to say something.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. So yes, I agree with you because I believe that there should be some outliers between the context. Also, when you mentioned temperament, I just thought that, and I remember one of my experience in the field, in the sense that, yeah, temperament plays its role, but there is also cultural influence. And that's as a result of what happens when you are being in a particular space over time. Yes, for instance, I spoke to a street trader who told me that whenever Agueros come, they just pick drinks from a shop and then they just sort of like a sauna. When she just got there, and then she watched them for some time. And then there was a time one of them wanted to pick her. She was like, if you dare. And then the next thing she said was that the space made me become who I am. Right? So what I'm also saying is that while we can have that reality, we can also have the flip side as a result of
Experience over time. Yeah.
So while I agree that temperament plays a very huge role, the cultural adaptation can also play its role.
All right. So
That's really answer what I want to add.
all right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a very interesting section. The conversations will continue afterwards. We can actually reach out to each of the presenters, talk more about it, ask more questions, and make more suggestions. So thank you very much. Have a beautiful day ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Ṣáàrùbìnrin tó ń lo ìjà
They have many.
Okay.